What's up, fam? It's your boy back at it again with another video, and today we're going to be ranking Tyler the Creator's discography from worst to best. Please keep in mind this is an album ranking. While I will be talking about why the albums place where they do, I am not going to be doing a comprehensive review of each project one by one. Also, I am going to be dropping a rating for each album after I talk about each one, just so you guys can have an idea of how I feel about Tyler the Creator's discography as a whole. Anyways, let's get things started with what I consider to be his worst album, which is So Goblin. This is Tyler the Creator's first official studio album, and definitely still his most immature and hard to listen to date. And when I say hard to listen to, I mean hard to listen to. Now, to give this album a little bit of credit, there is some complexity in what Tyler is trying to say. This does fit into a trilogy of albums that Tyler was making back then. The thing is that despite some of his complexity, despite some of its pockets of good writing, it doesn't check off the one box albums need to check, and that's be listenable. Even ignoring the hard to stomach shock value lyrics all over this thing, the production is just unlistenable. There's just so much empty space and just random distortion just thrown over everything that just make it almost impossible to ever want to revisit. While there are a couple of highlights between She and Yonkers, most of this project is just pretty disposable. It's gonna get a 2 out of 10. Now, whether or not Bastard's considered to be an album is in contention, but I am going to include it here because it is included in this first initial trilogy that Tyler was going for. Now, Bastard is very similar to Goblin in terms of Tyler's antics and really hard to stomach subject matter. His approach to the topics he wants to cover is just as immature and grating as Goblin. The only thing is that the production choices are slightly better. Since this is a mixtape, some of the songs in here have classic beats. Like on Pig's Fly, where you're getting some classic MF Doom. Ass Milk is also a highlight on this project. Again, with a lot of the over-the-top lyrical angles that Tyler takes, it's hard to find myself wanting to re-listen to Goblin or Bastard, but I will admit that Bastard isn't nearly as long and nearly as boring as Goblin is. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Alright, so I've always been under the mindset that Cherry Bomb is pretty underrated. While I do understand a lot of the criticism that it gets, the production is fucking wild for better and for worse. And this probably is the most all over the place that Tyler has been from a conceptual standpoint. There's a lot of highlights. Okada, California, Smuckers, Two-Seater, and hot take, I even actually like the song Cherry Bomb a lot. Cherry Bomb very much so functions as a bit of a bridge between his Wolf era and everything Flower Boy and after. We're getting some of his most intense, batshit crazy, distorted type production in some parts, but also seeing pockets of that more melodic R&B influenced bag that he so leans on nowadays. Again, there's swings and misses. The first stretch of the album until you hit Find Your Wings is hard to get through, but I do revisit this album every now and again, and it's usually a pretty good time. 6 out of 10. Don't Tap the Glass. All right, so wait, put it down. This album is good. I like this album. I think with I Take Care of You, this album has one of his best songs to date. The production is great all over this. He's also giving us some good rap performances throughout this project too. The reason why I can't rank it any higher is just that it's a little too bare bones. The music by design exists to not be thought about that much. And for the kind of stuff I tend to enjoy as album experiences, I prefer there to be something conceptually to actually dig into. So while this is something that I could put on the car, put on when I'm talking to other people, it's also great music to dance to. I have a really hard time trying to find a way to rate this album because there's not a lot that I see that's necessarily wrong with it, so I believe the rating should be higher. But in terms of my own personal taste, I revisit other Tyler the Creator projects more than I revisit this one. 8 out of 10. Okay, so Wolf is a little bit of a mixed bag, but to be honest, I love this album. You're getting a lot of storytelling, you're getting good concepts, you're getting some of Tyler's best rapping to date on songs like Rusty, and it really feels like the first project Tyler made that actually felt complete. The production is actually fun. It's interesting. Some of it's even heartfelt. I even like some of the smaller, less talked about moments, like Tree Home 95. While you're still finding some of his usual trademark bullshit from this era, it feels like the first time Tyler really had something to say. Wolf just holds a special place in my heart. Well, there's definitely a couple of skips on this thing. I like every single song on it that I do like more and more every time I listen to it. 8 out of 10. Now with Call Me If You Get Lost, I'm also kind of talking about the estate sale. And honestly, at this point, for every album going forward, I have almost nothing negative to say. He's cooking. With Call Me If You Get Lost, you're getting a combination of Tyler's most fun and energetic rapping, but on top of a foundation of production that has the advantage of taking everything from Tyler's previous work. It just comes together in a way that's really accessible, but also true to Tyler's sound. This feels like everything he was trying to do on Wolf and Cherry Bomb, but actually elevated to damn near perfection. Feature performances are great too. Between this album and Chromacopia, he has this way of integrating a story in the background of the project, while also talking about other related concepts, but not necessarily parts of the story throughout each individual track. It creates this effect of being able to have a really good album experience, but also to be able to enjoy each track on its own without feeling like you're missing something. Overall, I love this thing. 9 out of 10. Chromacopia was such a breath of fresh air for music when it came out. Similarly to Call Me If You Get Lost, this project feels like an evolution of everything Tyler has done before in terms of his sound. I love the concept that he's going for with this. The idea of reaching different stages of life and thinking about the way that your path compares to the path of your peers, and trying to find a way to embrace and celebrate your uniqueness without kind of drowning within that fear of missing out. And the idea of paranoia that not only comes with, for him, stardom, but also the idea that you're just doing everything wrong. It's an album that I can just relate to in a lot of different ways. I think one of the best storytelling tracks I've heard of all time comes from Hey Jane. Also, Chromacopia just brings the fucking hype. Having HBCU drumline type production for the beat drops is genius. Spoilers, this is my favorite album of 2024, and it still is. It's not recency bias. I fucking love this thing. The only problem with this album is Judge Judy, because that song feels like someone is pouring liquid mercury down my ears. 9 out of 10. Now, I know Igor tends to be people's number one. It's not mine, get over it. Igor might very potentially be the best storytelling album of all time. This thing has gorgeous instrumentals, beautiful singing from Tyler, as well as all the random hidden guest features, expert use of distortion on songs like Igor's theme. Also, the way every song develops from start to finish on things like I Think with the bridge, or New Magic Wand, which is one of his best rapping songs to date, or Gone Gone Thank You, which I think the second verse might be his best verse. It's just perfect. If you're going through any kind of breakup, listen to this thing. If you're not, listen to this thing. If you love music, listen to Igor. If you fucking hate music, listen to Igor. The only reason this doesn't rate as my number one is because his number one just relates to me more. Again, this album is probably gonna get a retrospective for me at some point. I have a lot I want to say about it, but I don't have the time here, so 10 out of 10. Flower Boy. What I appreciate about this album the most is the metaphors. It takes a melancholic approach to showing Tyler's process in self-discovery, with each song kind of tackling its own themes of feeling lost or out of place. I think his best rapping and best song of all time is On This with November, and this is where his production peaked for me personally. Other than the hyper tracks like Ain't Got Time or Who Dat Boy, most of the drums are actually pretty light, and the synths as well as the guitars do the heavy lifting and making the project feel like it's cover. It's beautiful from start to finish. It's got some hype shit. The rapping is elite. The features and singing are all great. There's no skips at all whatsoever. And while it might not necessarily be a storytelling album, it's 100% an emotional developmental narrative that's backing this entire thing that just makes it all come together perfectly. Flower Boy might actually be my favorite album of all time. 10 out of 10. So, tell me, what's your Tyler the Creator album ranking? Drop it in the comments below. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Click that like button, hit subscribe, check out the socials. Bye.